So
All right.
welcome back to the Philanthropy Podcast, which is a podcast that's multi-perspective with some industry professionals, and we got our film critics. And if you haven't seen the call sheet, we'll try to pop that up now and see if that'll show or not. Um, but we're going to start it off with just a update on our film game that we started. This might not stick around. It might. We're just trying to see if we can create something fun. Um, quick question on to you guys. Does anybody have that list still pulled up?
So
Oh,
I
let
don't,
me see.
I don't have the full list, but I know I have mine at least. I don't know what you do. You all have yours offhand?
Mine, bro. If you go back and look at that previous episode, I scribbled mine down on a piece of paper that
I did.
I just
I thought I typed it out, but hold on. Let's see.
I think you. I know you were recording it, but what I can tell you is that we definitely had a couple of bombs, and then the movie that we're going to talk about today is doing really well. And then on top of that, my pick for best grossing, Inside Out 2, I think opened for like 155 million or something like that. So
Yeah, I saw it.
looking pretty good, boys. You better watch out because I think I got this one in the bag. I'm not sure though.
yeah, I think so.
Oh, I
Did not do
don't think
well.
it's beaten Best Bad Boys, is it?
No, but I don't know if anybody picked
Okay.
Bad Boys as their highest
Trey-
grossing.
No, I did.
Trey did.
You
Yeah, I
did?
did as Max Joseph. Yeah.
Well,
That's why I was like, I feel good about that one, but my other ones,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I can't even remember them. All right,
Yeah.
so as far as the update on this game, it might be a little bit of a miss. We might have not did our research, but let's see. Let's see if we can. So I had best grossing with Bad Boys. I feel like somebody picked a really good worst movie. I feel like it was one of you two, Chris or Corey.
I got School of Magical Animals too. I don't even know if has that been released yet.
I don't think so, man.
School of Magical Animals. Let's check it out.
Yo, I don't
Producer,
even
did
I
remember.
don't,
let
I
you,
don't think that's out yet.
I feel like mine might have been Atlas, bro. I don't
I think yours
remember.
was Oh yeah, was yours best visuals for Atlas or was it?
Bro, I don't even remember.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't think that's.
We're gonna
out
have to
yet,
go back
Corey.
and check it.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt though, Bad Boys is doing really well. I can tell you, I
Well-
picked Thelma, which I don't think is out yet for the lowest.
What was yours?
Thelma was my lowest grossing, but I don't think that one's out yet. So this one's still going to be a little bit
It
longer.
says
before
Did I
get
pick Garfield? I think I picked Garfield
No,
for
you
lowest
did
you
pick
grossing.
Garfield
did
for
pick
something.
Garfield. Okay, so ones that I'm starting to remember is that Furiosa movie. Did I say it right?
Furiosa.
That was my top
Yes.
grossing, so let's not talk about that.
I don't think
one.
it did. Yeah, I don't think it did too well in that
That did
category.
not.
And then we had we were talking about the best cinematics.
Yeah.
And gosh, what were the ones with best cinematics?
I mean, off
I
of,
have the
off of the
bike
cinematics, I picked a cartoon because I kind of ran out of options. So
Yep, I remember that. And then Jake, you're right. I picked Atlas for that one.
You picked, I think,
Yeah,
which isn't a bad. That one
Atlas
is out on
was
Netflix.
good.
Have you
Did
seen
you
it
guys
yet?
watch that one? Yeah.
I did
Atlas.
Not
Pretty
yet.
good.
Okay, so
Is it?
mine was
I
Horizon
liked it.
with the Horizon Western film
Mm,
with
with Kevin Costner.
Kevin
Mhm.
Costner. Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't think that's out yet. So we'll have
I
to
don't
keep
think
on
it's
that. And then
released.
Corey, I
Okay,
think you
so I'm
picked
looking at
biker
the-
movie.
Yeah.
I have the biker movie for my cinematic.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one too.
Yeah. Corey had highest grossing for Furiosa, Bike Riders for cinematic. I had Inside Out 2 as highest grossing. Chris has A Quiet Place Day 1, but I don't know what he put the pick for.
I think that might have been highest grossing, and then Atlas was cinematics, and then Garfield was worst grossing.
I think
Yeah.
that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a
There's
So
no
as
way I
far as-
picked Garfield for anything other than that.
No.
Yeah. By the way,
So-
I think Garfield is out, and I don't think it's doing well.
I'm not surprised.
No.
I told you, don't nobody want to watch no cat eat spaghetti. Told
so
you,
we
man.
can stand confident that Bad Boys won the box office, but the last two categories are
Not
still
yet.
they can
Not
still
yet.
carry.
There's
through.
still time. Inside Out 2 just opened.
I think that one's gonna
I
kill
don't
it.
know. What was it?
I think
Inside Out
Inside
too.
Out's gonna take it. I think Jake's gonna.
I am
that
interested.
was-
to
School's
see that
out
one.
right
So
now. All the families are figuring out what they can do with their kids. So hey, it might be.
We'll see. We'll see. And so, all right, the last two categories, cinematic and then bust. I mean, those can still carry through the month. So we'll find out next time we meet up. That'll be
Yeah.
the determining date on everything. So we'll have it better fine-tuned for anybody that's interested in the game that we're trying to create. So, all right, moving on to the next segment of the podcast, which is we have came here to break down Bad Boys 4. It kind of messed me up saying that because it's called Ride or Die Bad Boys, but it is the fourth one.
Bad Boys
and-
for life.
Exactly. They missed that one. So Bad Boys, if you don't know what Bad Boys is as a movie series, you live under a rock. There's just no reason not to know what Bad Boys is. Classic from the 90s. Has some really iconic memes made out of it. But that's Bad Boys. We're going to break it down. It's an action flick with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, two of the OGs in that comedic action duo. So we're going to break that down. We're going to start this segment off from our film critics who give the best opinions as far as overviews of how did the director do, how was the story, how was the cast. Then us industry professionals are going to butt in, of course, and give some feedback as they kind of walk us through what they thought of the film. And we're going to end it with a rating out of 10. So I'm going to pop it over to Chris and Corey to lead the way.
You want to start off, Corey?
Bad Boys.
You ready to go?
Yep.
You take it.
You got it, bro. Go for it.
You ready to go?
All right, here we go. Here we go. All
That
right,
was
so
some-
Man,
that
this
was
is like
some Bad
watching
Boys.
Mike and Marcus.
right.
Yeah.
All right, so Bad Boys Ride or Die. We all went to go see it here recently. It's a pretty good movie if you like the franchise. I honestly think that you don't need to have seen the other movies really to get this one and enjoy it. It is a good movie. It does help, obviously, if you know the story, but it's not critical. There's not any essential information. You can grasp it. And there's a bunch of good action in this movie. There were some scenes in this movie that I liked so much that I was like, yo, like my heart was like racing. I hadn't seen an action movie like that in a while. You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the opening, I'll let y'all get to it, but the opening did that for me. It drove me into the film, but like in a different way. It was just weird. It's like a story kind of being told. It was
So I
Yeah.
didn't really like how the story was told, but I guess if you hadn't seen the films, which I haven't seen all of them, but I guess they gotta, they flash back a couple times for you to be able to understand what they're flashing back for and all that. But I enjoyed the film overall. I didn't like the storyline too much on how they did that. We can talk about that later, but the cinematics of the film were amazing. Like all the different shots that they used and the signature, kind of like Bad Boys camera angles, like when they shoot from low to high, and they show like the cityscapes in the background, like
And
all that was really like vintage Bad Boys.
They did a lot of their signature slow motion shots.
Right. And
Those things were super cool in this movie.
If you like Bad Boys, you have to like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. So all their interactions were, perfect, comedic gold. But other than that, like I said, the how it was shot was amazing. The cinematics were amazing. Little bit corny dialogue sometimes, but hey, that's Bad Boys for you.
I feel like there was more corny than normal.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there was more corny than what there used to be in the movies. I don't know. I feel like they were
I feel like they did that on purpose because everybody knows in movies once you get past the trilogy, at this point you're just trying to make people laugh.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I mean, they're both pushing 60, so I think that they're really kind of leaning a little bit into like very family friendly, dad humor, kind of a little bit. No offense, guys.
Yeah, they definitely.
Happy Father's Day to the rest of the panel, by the way. But happy Father's Day to you guys. But yeah, I mean, I think that corny joke telling style just kind of comes along with that territory where they're kind of getting a little bit aged up.
Yeah, they definitely. Yeah, they hit on some of the funny dad jokes for sure, the vibes. So I want to ask you all, as viewers, as critics, how did y'all feel about the opening scene? Sorry, I'm stepping back a little bit, but that opening scene was like, it started off with a lot of conversation. They had the dynamic shots coming in, and just how it was just like, how did you feel about that opening of them going? Y'all's opinion.
Do you want? It's kind of hard to describe it without
I
spoiling
know
anything.
without spoiling it. I know.
I don't know. It's
I
still
felt,
early
I
season.
do feel like I understand why they did it, and if you understand, like do y'all follow Martin, like his like what's happened to him in the last few years?
Mm-mm.
Uh-oh.
All right, well
That's
I'll
okay.
save
So that's
I'll
what I
save
want
that
to
for
hit
the
on.
spoilers because I think that was pretty cool
Okay.
if they did that on purpose.
Well, I think for
Okay,
that
so
opening scene
yeah,
too.
go
I
on.
think it because I was not aware that this was the fourth one. I completely missed that. I was texting these guys and I was like,
Yeah.
this is the fourth one. I was like, I had no idea. Okay, never mind. So I actually watched the third one last night to kind of catch up on what I had missed, and they kind of mirror part of that scene. Like you start off with like they're in the Porsche. You kind of have like a little bit of a fake out about what's going on. Like they're it seems like they're in the middle of an action scene, but Martin Lawrence is like gonna puke in the car. There's a lot of elements that they kind of mirrored back
Yeah.
into that. So I think it kind of sets the tone of like both of those movies set the stakes of like here's their dynamic that's getting set up, and here's like what's about to happen to them.
So
Yeah,
you
that
know
was pretty
what?
cool
Actually, I'm gonna give it an overview without spoiling it. I think, and I don't think
Yeah.
it has actually nothing to do with the story of the film. If that's fair for me to say, but I think
Yeah.
it goes with what Chris was hitting at. And so, like, I feel like, all right. So, opening scene, they're driving, they're giving each other shit. They end up going into a convenience store that happens to be getting robbed, and the comedic conversations come about, and it really introduces how they are badasses at their career and their
Right.
field, and how it's just like a funny build up to like who they are in law enforcement and where they stand because they're law enforcement, but they'll cross the line type of thing. So it really got to that point, but
And
The
it's
bad-
super
the
cool
bad
too.
boys. The
and
bad
it's super
boys part
cool.
of
A
it.
lot of good angles, cinematic wise, but it carried on into a hospital scene. And Chris, this might be where you're hitting on. I feel like
Yeah.
it hit on Martin Lawrence's health. Is that where you were getting at?
Yes.
So I want
Yes.
to ask you because I don't know. Is there a rumor, or did he have a stroke or something? What's the rumor out there?
No, so this happened years ago. Like you can do the research or whatever, but he had a near death experience before,
Mm.
and
Okay.
it was pretty traumatizing for him, I'd imagine. But you know what I'm saying? Like they almost didn't make the third movie, I think, because of that scare. If I'm not mistaken, you have to go fact check me,
Okay.
but
Right.
So
yeah,
maybe
there was
they
a
kind of brought those elements into this film.
yeah, and if you like
More
Martin and you know that
destroy that.
about him, like who
Yeah.
better to
Yeah,
play
yeah.
the near death experience person? You know what I mean? And make it funny.
And that's what I felt like they were hitting on, and they were really saying like, "Nah, Martin Lawrence is okay. He's back." That was my like. That's what I thought.
I felt that way too. I felt like it was a redemption
Yeah.
movie.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Redemption.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that.
So how's y'all feel about the directing? It wasn't this one didn't have cars flying on the highway and exploding and stuff like that as much, but yeah, you go on. Yeah, you take it.
There was a scene that I said, nope, this movie would be over because they'd be dead. You know what scene it was?
No, tell me.
I mean,
The helicopter scene. They'd be finished. Like there was
Oh, yes.
there was no surviving that. You're not surviving the helicopter crash, or you're
That
not.
was part of like the corniness that I said of the movie.
Oh, that was super
That was
corny.
the
There's
scene.
no way. There's no way you learn how to fly a helicopter. I'm a drug dealer. No, it doesn't work that way.
That might be the
It
corniness
does not
right
work
there.
that
was
way.
a hit on the corniness.
I mean, for once, we actually have an expert with us right now to actually tell
Yeah,
us.
that
So
was crazy.
step by
I
step,
couldn't believe
Chris,
that.
How would you fly the helicopter in that moment? Just so we all know, just in case.
In that moment, I don't.
Prepare for
Again, exactly. Not a Chinook pilot, but they're not making it out of that. They weren't. They were in an uncontrollable spin. They were dead.
Yeah. Even if you, I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
thought
even
of
if you
you
try
when I
to
saw
bail
that.
on that, you probably wouldn't have made it either.
No, there's no such thing. This is a complete sidebar. People always ask, can you bail out of a helicopter? It doesn't work that way. There's a rotor system right above you. It's a huge fan. You're gonna go straight into it if you jump out. Well, if as a pilot, you would have to jump out in a way. It would be very hard to do, and you'd have to have a parachute on already.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, there's no surviving that. So
No survivors.
we kind of touched on the opening scene, the cinematics. So this isn't much of a spoiler, but so in the third one they brought in a lot of drone, a lot more like dynamic shots like that.
That was cool.
How'd y'all like those?
Trey, I was thinking about you the whole time. When I saw that scene, I was thinking about you.
I
I
was
was like,
thinking
I
about
know
myself, and I was like,
Trey is
yeah,
loving this scene.
So
Yeah, I know, right?
me and Trey actually got to watch it together.
yeah.
But
we
I
went
didn't
saw
get
it.
to sit next to him. I was a row ahead of him. So like any kind of crazy thing that happened, I kept trying to look back and see his reaction, but everyone was so glued into the screen. I didn't get to like lock eyes with anybody to catch on reactions. But it was the drone scenes were cool. I mean, there's a lot of cool
Yeah.
stuff in there, man.
Well, it was interesting because
Yeah, I got to
they
see
did
it.
a lot of practical stunts. You know, I mean, obviously we just reviewed Fall Guy, and they were doing a lot more practical than CGI, and they had a little bit of CGI for like some of the cityscape stuff. There was a dream sequence in there that they did that, but a lot of that, and I think, you know, because they have what's his name? You know, Bjorn Ironsides. What? You know, the guy from Vikings who runs the drones for ammo.
Yeah.
You know, the cops or whatever. He's flying drones for part of that, so it's like you have a built-in excuse where you have that like practical shot of that, and then they kind of follow that through doing like almost like a first-person shooter, like kind of body cam style footage.
Mhm.
So I think that they were building in excuses within their universe to have like a lot more of those shots. I thought it was pretty effective. That
There
little
was,
hammer trick they did was, you know, they kind of repeated a lot, like where it would like shoot forward and then flip back, shoot forward, flip back. That's going all over social media right now.
Oh yeah, that
That
rig
rig.
was really dope.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool to see that because an indie filmmaker, I think, crafted that up and it made it up to Hollywood. So I thought that was pretty dope to see
They
that.
stole it.
But
They stole
on
it.
like the drone shots, not to spoil anything, we won't talk about what happened in this scene. But if you remember the shootout in the club with John Sally's character, there was a
Oh, yeah.
FPV drone shot where like you saw the action here and it took you up to like the second level, revealed that, and came back down and stuff.
Moves
It
around
was like
everybody.
yeah, it was pretty dope. That right there took it. You know, we talk about it all the time, but that took some coordination and a team. I wonder how many takes that took. It couldn't have took too many because they destroyed some sets, but that was like my vision on that. I thought that was pretty dope.
I thought that, I mean, that scene,
Um,
once again, we had another nightclub scene that was maybe a standout in the movie, just like Fall Guy, like where you had like the neon dripping fight, you know, fight in the nightclub. And then this kind of happened again with a little gag with Martin Lawrence and a lot of colors in a lot of places, which I don't know, I really enjoyed it a little bit. I thought that they also did, I think, you know, with using the drone, they did something that I think a lot of movies don't do well in the modern era. They establish the layout of like, okay, bad guys over here, good guys over here, here's where they need to go. And I think it was interesting because I didn't feel like they did that as much in the last scene without spoilers, but you know, I felt like there, you know, a little bit like the drone shots opened up the movie a lot and opened up the action. But some of the like that rig that did like the first person shooter to you know, close up kind of made things claustrophobic at times. Like I didn't feel like as big and expansive of like a fight happening as they did in like some of the other movies that had like those big glorious Michael Bay shots or what have you. What do you guys think about that?
So I like so I was going to touch on the drone thing because you were saying that. So the establishment shots of that, which are like this is where this scene's taking place.
Mhm.
I feel like so I kind of disagree with you because I'm gonna say disagree because of my memory isn't really reminding me what the last ones looked like. But I felt like those establishment shots were like the bad boys look, you know?
Oh no, I'm
Like
saying
I don't
I
know.
liked it when they did the establishing shots.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
saying that they did that really effectively in the nightclub, but maybe didn't
Right.
pull that off so well in like the last scene where they were
In
actually
the last
employing
ones, yeah, yeah.
drones, which kind of, you know,
Oh, in
or
the last scene. I thought you meant the last movie. Got you.
no, yeah, sorry,
Uh,
yeah, in the last fight scene where they actually deployed drones, which I thought was kind of
yeah.
interesting because I'm like, well, you have the drones. I'm like, give me like a more of a global kind of look, you know?
True. So on the story of it, we kind of touched on it, Chris and Corey. how did the story play out to you all? Was it the story you wanted, the story you expected? Is it a story that says there's definitely another one? You know, like,
you want to give the story a quick rundown, just a quick overview for anybody who doesn't know?
Yeah. So basically, the story picks up like you all said. They're just law enforcement. They some drug. What is it, like a drug unit, whatever the case. So their boss is no longer with us, and he was framed for something. This movie is about them pursuing that. So that's about as vague as you can be without getting any more detail.
Yeah, I mean, they get kind of framed for a couple of things, and there's a conspiracy that it almost had like a little bit of that Mission Impossible feel, where it's like they've got like the DEA and the U.S. Marshals and the FBI and God and everybody coming after him the entire time, right? And they gotta like.
I always have a question about movies like this, because every single one of these action movies has a moment in time like this. There's always a big bad who is the worst person on the planet. If you know this person's going to kill you, why do you even give up information? Like, if I was like looking down the barrel of a gun and you're like, I'm going to kill you if you don't tell me, bro, you're already the type of person that's going to put a gun to my head. Just get it over with. Like, I'm not giving you anything.
No, I
can't wait till we get to the spoilers, because I think I know what scene you're talking about. And I'm
like, bro, like, just don't make any sense.
And see, that's where I take this movie. Well, I don't like it a little bit. I like the movie, but just some of the parts that, like, come on, man. Like,
but that goes. What I'm saying though, Corey, is that
with the series of the
that goes with me for every single movie that's like this. Right, if you're in the drug world, you're gonna come across somebody that's not afraid to do that. So when you meet them, that's it. Like, that's it.
But back to the storyline. I like it a little, but I just don't like how without spoiling it, I don't like how they found out some information. You know what I'm saying? With with Martin's character and what happens to him and how he has that experience. It just is a little bit corny to me. That's why I didn't like it. See,
Corey, I don't think that they. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Well, I think kind of like, again, without going into spoilers, last time around with the Fall Guy, we talked about Chekhov's gun. This time they had like MacGuffin. Like, it was MacGuffin central with this, like, go from A to B to C to D. You have to find the next piece, and then that leads you to the next thing.
Some of it was a little too predictable for me.
Doing a bunch of side missions.
Yes. Yeah, I knew exactly who the crook was, or who the twisted rat. Yeah, the second. Yeah, I knew exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, and I don't think that this is a spoiler at all, but it was very nostalgic. Corey, you were talking about at the beginning, like they showed like a lot of like Miami going by, and like, they have like, the day cycle happening and like the traffic and those like big glorious shots of like Miami beaches and like all the beautiful women and stuff like that. This movie felt like a throwback from that side, but also there was this glorious return to the throwback of like rich, evil white guys. And, again, I don't think this is a spoiler at all, but I enjoy that because I'm like, yeah, good. Let's get our rich, evil white guys back.
Hey,
that's like Rush Hour 2.
Does anybody
follow the money?
All right. Did anybody watch Grey's Anatomy?
No. A little bit. Not
as soon as I saw him, I said, damn it, Sloan, because I was like, women loved him in that show, bro. Like, as soon as I saw him, I said, well, she was falling asleep. Now she's awake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought, the story was an effective enough conveyor belt. I liked that they did kind of a role reversal to explore the characters a little bit more on Mike and Marcus, where they kind of had a little bit of a role swap because of what we talked about with Marcus's like medical condition. He thinks he can't die, basically. So he kind of becomes like the emboldened one, whereas like Mike starts experiencing a little bit of fear through.
Before you don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I'm trying to keep that very vague, but that is a story. I mean, the story is kind of about them like dealing with their new roles. right?
So, as on that note, too, going back to all of you all characters, if you had to look outside of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence,
Mm.
who were some characters that stood out to you that you liked what they stood for in the film, and then it could be the same person, but acting. Who really killed it as an actor outside
So
of them?
my thing about it, we do say that you don't have to watch the previous films to figure out much. You can watch this one without it. That's the only thing that I kind of got lost in is some of the relationships of these, I guess you would call them side characters. I didn't understand the relationship with what's the Hispanic dude's name? I don't know I can't remember his name in the film.
I was
I didn't
honestly just
understand
about to look it up because I keep forgetting
his
names.
son.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his son. I didn't know if we could say his son because I didn't know if that was a spoiler.
Yeah,
It's from the last
Technically,
one.
it's really not.
It's from the last one.
I didn't know that relationship between them two, so that kind of was a surprise to me. But I guess I figured it out as it went along.
So
but
you didn't see
I
them-
really enjoyed his character though.
It's a service cat.
The son's character was really
You're having soundboards. Soundboards.
Soundboards.
But no, like I
Well,
really
so
enjoyed
Corey, you didn't watch
Mike's
number 3.
son's character. I didn't watch the third one. No, I didn't see the third one.
Okay. That's one to make sure. Yeah. Okay.
But I
So no, his
enjoyed his-
character.
His what do you call it? Like I guess the flow throughout the film where he kind of is like F everybody, it's all about me, and then how it gets at the end without spoiling anything. It just like his transition was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
What about you?
really liked the character of Armando, that's the
Yeah.
name. So I literally just had to look it up because I keep forgetting his name. But I thought that dude did a great job. I thought that actor, I really liked that actor.
Mhm.
Like, if we hit a point where they said like, okay, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are going to retire from Bad Boys, and then he and I don't know Reggie. They kind of established him in a cool way in this movie.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, that's
what
like
we
if
talked
they did
about
something
after
like that, or
we
did like a
watched
little
it.
spin-off where they did that. I would definitely watch that actor did Armando. Like who played him. Like I thought he was great. Like he was very grounded. He was like he looked good doing the action. Like he just seemed like an action star.
He looked
I
like
thought
he
was great.
played it as he could control a film later on if he had to.
He had presence. There's
Yeah.
and when we get into spoilers, like I'll highlight one later on, but there's a particular time where there's a woman with like glow in the dark neon hair, and she says something very crass to him. I think you all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he just
Mhm.
has this reaction of just like, what? Like, what? It's just doesn't miss a beat. He's just like in that universe and just fits in really, really well. Like, I don't think he's intimidating being around Will Smith or any of the other like bigger actors in that.
On that note of you saying that, I feel like the writers or however producers whoever played their role in this, they did a good job at making each character have like human moments. Like
Yeah.
that. Him being in that environment wasn't really his comfortable place. It was probably his most discomforting place of anywhere he was in the movie.
Yeah.
So
Can't
that's
blame
what I kind of took from that. Yeah. Chris, what character stood out to you in acting?
So, as far as acting outside of Martin and them, I would say Armando is probably the best. But I had two side characters like that I really liked. Everybody, Trey, you already know Reggie.
Yeah.
Reggie was in there, boy. Reggie was in there.
Reggie.
And then Fletcher,
Yeah.
John Sally, the dude that Coke bottles.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's about every time I see him, I just automatically start dying laughing, bro. So he's a good side character to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in any movie, like if I see him, it's over.
He's
But-
good.
Yeah.
He's good.
Especially in this franchise. But yeah,
This doesn't ruin it. This isn't really a spoiler, but did you happen to see the gurney when they took him out?
No.
Yes.
Because he's so
Yes.
tall, his legs are
His
like
feet-
hanging
Who
off
did
the
it-
edge of the gurney as they're pulling him out. It was so
And,
funny.
hey,
I did not see
go
that.
Go on and give a shout out to who that reminded you of.
Definitely LB.
Why did I know you were about to
Shout
say
out to
that?
Bradford Wingfield. I know you're watching because we
How
told
many
you to
parties
watch.
y'all done pulled him out of?
Exactly.
Been
That's
slumped. 8 foot
hilarious.
tall,
I
slumped.
don't know you, LB, but I feel like I know you a lot better now. So
I might have to get his press release and see if I can edit a picture in. But all
sign a
right, so
waiver.
on to the last piece of this segment. We want to hear y'all's rating. What did you rate it? Would you, I'm lost for words. Would you recommend it? And so what's your rating? Would you recommend it? And do you feel like it's done or is there more? That's what
I'll
I
go.
want to know.
So I'm gonna give it a little bit lower than some of the scores we've been given lately, just because, like I said, the storyline for me and how they
I agree.
displayed it was just a slight corny, and I don't like predictable films. Sometimes I like trying to figure out what happens and then be proven wrong. So for me, I'm gonna give this one a 7.2, but I will recommend that everyone go watch it because it's really fun experience with all the cinematic and the effects and all that they throw into the film. And like I said, if I still gotta remember it's a Bad Boys film, so the corniness comes with it, but it definitely go watch it. Even if you haven't seen the previous films, it was a good one to watch.
All right, so you recommend it. You got your rating. What do you think? Is this it? What you feel? What's your prediction?
Without spoiling stuff, I think they could go on with more. I don't know how successful it will be if they take Martin and Will out of the franchise. But I don't know. It's kind of a toss up. They left it out there for you to think that they could do more, but at the same time, I could see them not doing any more. So I don't know.
I feel that. Chris, what you got?
I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'd give it somewhere. It'd be like between a 6.5 and a 7.5. The only reason why I say that is because it was held up by all the other categories by which I judge movies, by like the cast. I thought it was cast well for the people that played the parts. The action in the movie was amazing. The cinematics was good. Um, the only thing that lacked to me was the writing, the story. So I think it was held up by everything else. So I would watch it again. I would recommend it to somebody that hadn't seen it, and I don't think it's over. And the only reason why I don't think it's over is because look at the box office. As long as something's making money, they're gonna keep that machine churning, baby. As long as it's making money, there's gonna be another one. They'll figure out something. They better figure out the writing part, but they're gonna figure out something as long as it's making money.
So Jake, question to you: before we give our ratings, should we give ratings or should our ratings come in with the industry input? Does that make more sense, or do we?
I think that we can still give ratings now, and then we can contextualize as we go into the spoilers. Because I don't. I mean, unless you want to hold yours, you can hold yours. We'll let you.
No, we can give. I think an overall rating works. Yeah, I'll let you start with it.
Okay. I'm going to fall right with these guys. I think. Surprisingly, I'm going to give this like a little bit of a better rating than like Fallout, and right around the same that I gave Fall Guys. See, we've got a lot of falls going on here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a 7. I don't, and don't take that at all as like this isn't like a fun movie or a good movie or something like that. Like I don't think that's a low rating. It's not an especially high rating because it's also not doing anything like magically different other than some of the camera tricks that are there. The lens that I view Bad Boys through, like as a franchise, Bad Boys to me is the movie that you find on FX or USA or like TNT or whatever, and it's playing while you're at the beach and you're waiting for everybody for dinner to be finished, or like you're in your hotel room about to go out.
It's a good Wednesday afternoon movie.
It's a good Wednesday afternoon movie. It's on like if you're going through the channels and you find Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, Bad Boys 3, you go, oh. You're not like, oh my God, like
and you can jump in at any point and enjoy it.
You can jump in at any point and enjoy it. And I think that this movie is very, very effective at that. Like the story gets meandering. Like when I was like, I did get vaguely lost because there was a lot of distraction. My movie theater that I was in was packed, but it was crazy. I'll tell you guys about it offline or whatever, but it was absolutely insane. So there was like a good 10-minute chunk right in the middle where I was like completely distracted. I was just like, what's going on? It didn't matter. It just didn't matter because I still had fun. Like I was laughing a little bit. Like I was like, whatever, I'm having fun. I don't care. Like it doesn't matter. So I give it that 7 because I enjoyed it. It was fun enough. I think people, I mean, no one's going to listen to me anyway. I mean, people are already going to go see it anyway because it is killing the box office. I say go see it. If you just want something quick that you can consume, I think that this is one that is just perfect if you're hopping channels. I mean,
Good matinee movie.
Good matinee movie. That's where I saw it. And it's better than 3, not as good as 2, maybe about as par as the first one.
So I agree with all of you all. And so I'm going to give Bad Boys for me played a big part in me wanting to make films. Part of my soul that kind of became patriotic. I was like, man, I want to be a cop one day. I want to be like Mike Laurie. You know what I'm saying? If I
Too many tattoos, you degenerate.
Right. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be all right. And then, so yeah, Bad Boys. I had high expectations I have high expectations when I watch a Bad Boys film, and it didn't meet them for me. So I'm gonna give it a 7 because I think anything lower than that would just be a little disrespectful. Because one, I have high expectations for the franchise. I have high expectations for Will Smith. My expectations for Martin Lawrence are kind of lost. I don't have any because he just hasn't been as a comedian. They're pretty high. I want him to be funny, but there was a huge gimmick in this movie that we're going to talk about in the next section, which is the spoilers, that actually completely ruined it for me. And you all will probably agree. I don't want to spoil it because you actually don't know this is in the movie until you go see it.
Yeah.
But I just didn't like it. It was too much of it around. And we'll get
I
into
think
it.
I know what you're talking about, and yeah, we
You
would
probably
have to
do.
save that.
So I'm going to give it a 7. I don't think it's over. I think Will Smith and Martin Lawrence could potentially get replaced with some characters you'll meet in the film, but Bad Boys has to put these movies out quicker than 5,
Yeah.
6 years.
Dang, Martin ain't got another.
I think that part of the reason why we're scoring it so low is because I feel like they kind of forced some of this stuff. I feel like they were trying to make a film for a while, and then they're like, COVID and all that, and they everything kind of draw out.
I felt that way about the third
push it all
one.
together and then send it.
Oh yeah.
So, I don't know.
I felt that way about the third one. I thought the third one was super rushed. It felt rushed anyway.
What is y'all's like favorite? Which one is your favorite?
2.
Like 2?
2 for sure.
I agree with you. That's my favorite too.
I know I've seen 1 and 2, but it's been so long that I couldn't really call it right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
2 had scenes that were just undone, unheard of. The cast was dope, from Gabriel Union all the way to the Hispanic brothers that broke into the mansion, and that it was just dope that you couldn't touch that.
So the first one was about a mean white dude. The second one was about.
I really remember is the first one. I don't really remember too much of the second one.
The one where Martin was getting mad about the girl was getting mad about Martin eating pickles or something. The second one is about the Cuban, the crazy Cuban dude where they went.
Villain too, yeah.
Yeah, they went to Cuba to go get him, and his mom came out the closet and just shot him. Yeah, those are good.
Yeah,
those are good.
Penultimate to me. Yeah.
All
And then the third one you didn't see anyway. So.
Yeah. The third one, I don't think anyone remembers. But as we move on,
the third one, I wouldn't. You can skip the third one. It gives a lot of story, but unless you're like in love with the franchise.
So drop in some B-roll, and the B-roll is just a message from philanthropy that we are trying to do things to curb the gatekeeping in local filmmaking. So networking groups, this podcast is a big role. We want to get this chat popping soon. We got to do some better marketing there, but get the chat popping, get people involved about the networking, the film festival that's coming up. So if you don't know about all that, go to the website, learn more about it. But you will start hearing a lot more too as we kind of figure out how to fine tune this stuff. But moving on, we are going into the spoiler section. So the lid's off. We're going to be talking about characters, deaths, things that did happen, shouldn't have happened. Yeah, so here we go. All right, so into the spoilers. The first opening scene with the Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are coming into the convenience store, and
I was
it
loving
kind
it.
of. I was loving it too. I thought it was dope. I thought the whole gun scene. I mean, it was just perfect comedy. It was
Yo,
good. It was a good
Trey, I was like, I
comedy
hope he
set.
picks up some Bubblicious, but he
Hey,
didn't.
he-
They didn't have it. They just had the Skittles.
Hey, shout out to my homie, my childhood friend Martez, because when I watched
Oh,
when I watched that scene, I thought about Martez and how we used to walk down to the convenience store, to the Dairy Mart down on Macy, and how Martez would just be picking up all kinds of shit and putting it on that counter. It just reminded me of him. It just like took me back. But yeah, Martin Lawrence was having a sweet tooth, and he was picking up everything off the counter. It was hilarious.
The hot
Yo,
dogs where they do that camera trick for the first time where he like leans into it and it just like morphs.
that was
out,
pretty
you know.
cool.
That was hilarious. I thought that was
good.
hilarious.
But they set the
Well,
tone
see,
in that scene right there. It was awesome. Like you didn't know what was gonna happen, but you knew when Mike walked in, you was like, oh shit.
Oh yeah.
Like if you had not seen that movie, you'd have been like, is he a bad motherfucker? Like what's about to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
We walked in.
I
Just
like the
Martin,
fishbowl
set a hot
look
dog.
that they did with Martin, because they did that in the ecstasy part.
When he did the
of Boys
ecstasy,
2,
nice.
and they saw
dick.
that
Oh,
hit, and I
yeah.
think they've done that in every movie since. So
Yep.
that was
That's right. I
pretty
forgot
dope.
about that. I
was-
forgot about that. Yeah, they did.
How did
They
y'all?
really mirrored a lot in that opening, and they made it very familiar. It was like a reintroduction. They kept the comedy there, and it's like they're not worried about the criminal with the gun. They don't care. The criminal with the gun, they don't care about that. That guy's just in
We got
their
somewhere
way.
to be. We got somewhere to
Yeah.
be. Come on,
Yeah.
get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
I
like,
didn't
"Dude,
get to
we
take
don't-"
notes like I wanted to, because
Yeah.
like Corey said, we went and watched. It was like, how many of us went to go see it? 6, 7 of us. It was my cousins and
7.
and LB and Calvin. Yeah, it was about 7 of us. So I didn't really get to take notes. The theater was packed, but I usually kind of type out some notes. So I'm gonna try to run off memory on this. But after that scene, it was to the wedding, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And that's
Okay,
that's
yes,
where I
what it
think it
was.
kind of like staled out for me. Like I was like, okay, whatever.
But you know what?
It did
That
yeah, for a moment, yeah.
that was crazy in itself to see Mike get married, right?
Yeah, and
Isn't that
also-
crazy.
Why did Mike get married to? I mean, listen. I saw the physical therapist. I looked at her. I saw her on screen. I understand, but why was he not married to Rita after the third movie? I mean, like the third
Because
movie, like
it's
ends
because
with that.
it's because of what Martin said in a previous movie. He said you're supposed to talk to your therapist, not bang her, Mike. He's been saying that for years.
Yeah.
He's been saying that for years,
Yeah,
bro.
he's been saying that, yeah.
We should have seen it coming. He's been
Finally
saying it
caught
for
up to
years.
him,
Yeah, they just kind of introduced the new wife, whatever her name was. I can't even remember what the heck her name was, but she was just like a non-entity. She was really just like another damsel in distress for like him to save. Like so it was kind of strange to me that they like introduced this new woman that we had never met before. They kind of had like a little bit of a joking backstory, but it was like he and Rita were like sizzling, and then she's just off with the other dude. I was like, what happened? I was like, did that actress like flat out refuse to like marry Will Smith or something? Or like
I feel like they did, like at the wedding, they did something I liked, because I almost forgot that the captain died. But since they showed his like picture and memorial there, it was like a remembrance. Okay, now I remember what happened. So I like that they did that.
and they do flashback that later as well.
Yeah.
And then he gets kind of like so I mean I don't know about you all, but Corey, I know you were saying that you felt like the wedding like kind of kicked off everything being a little bit stale. I kind of personally I liked the sequence where Martin Lawrence Marcus has the heart attack or whatever. He has the Widowmaker, and when he falls backwards onto the dance floor and then he falls into the water, like it turns into like water.
Yeah,
and
that was a cool
goes to-
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had kind of like superimposed, like almost like Oliver Stone, like Any Given Sunday, with like clouds and thunderstorms and whatever, and then he has like, I guess if I had to describe it, a Wakanda forever, or like a Wakanda kind of like dream
state.
sequence.
Yeah.
It was, it was perfect.
You know what that scene remind me of?
What's
You know what
that?
that scene remind me of when he fell, the water scene? You remember in Snatch where Brad Pitt gets the uppercut off his feet, and he that's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, he just like goes like horizontal almost and like floats, and then that I like that. I liked his again, they kind of mirrored it where it's like in the third one, Mike was in the hospital, or Will Smith's character was in the hospital, and Marcus is taking care of him. This one they kind of reversed that a little bit where he's kind of taking care of him while he's in the hospital, and he wakes up. And we're all treated to some, glorious Martin Lawrence cakes. I mean, what more could you ask?
So
Cheekies.
So to keep the audience kind of up to date with us. So at this point in the story, Martin Lawrence is now waking up from a heart attack, and he feels invincible. And he climbs his way up to the rooftop of the hospital and is standing on the edge of the building. Right? How did you feel about that scene?
We're talking about spoilers here, right?
Yeah,
he doesn't feel invincible. He's been told by the captain from the other side, it is not your time. So he believes that he cannot die until he has been told these events will happen.
Yep.
What did he say?
And that sets the tone for the film too.
Right. So Martin's out here just running in traffic, which is what happened when he like had his episode in real life. He was like running in traffic. Dave Chappelle talked about it before.
Really?
Yeah, he was in the streets like with a gun saying they're trying to kill me. He was running in traffic. Look it up.
So he said it's not his time to go, and he told Mike that he's going to have a very hard decision to make between, what was it exactly? Someone he loves and something else. I forget how.
Yeah, like
hey, can I butt in real quick, Corey, just on that? So I don't want to spoil that until we get farther into the film.
Right. I was just introducing that part.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I was just gonna say, because you just reminded me saying that actually was one of the big parts that I didn't like about the story.
Me too, because you're sitting there waiting for it the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll make sense of that to the audience. We'll make sense of just know that he was given that there would be an ultimatum to make a tough decision. We're going to tell you what that tough decision was, and you give us your opinion on what.
But suffice it to say, he has a revelatory conversation with the captain, and he has a new perspective on life. He's invigorated. I did think, for like off that, like, because he goes from like the rooftop and then on, and he's like in the car with like Mike's driving him home, and because like he checks himself out of the hospital, and it was like. He kind of played it like he was like on like drugs or something like that. Like he was drunk.
I felt the same way. They almost made him seem the entire movie like he was on the ecstasy from the second movie. It was almost like he was high the whole. It was weird. It was very weird.
That mental high.
He had the mental high, which made sense. Like to the point where it's like he got home and he was like looking for his snacks and all that stuff and like making out with his wife. But then he just was like that the rest of the movie too, and I was like, all right, let's bring it back a little bit. You know
what? I know why they did that. It makes sense now. He had a near-death experience, right? So he had an enlightened moment. Like, I imagine if you ever had a near-death experience and you had an enlightened moment, it'd probably be really hard to go back to regular life.
I mean, sure, but I mean, I don't know. It like tonally, it was just like kind of like strange that he was just like kind of like almost like drunk the entire.
It was weird. I agree completely. If I had to be around him all the time, I'd be like, Mike, Marcus, I'm not coming over today, bro.
Yeah, like there's no way. Like I'm happy for you, but like you're not right in the head, man. Like you can't even come out with me.
Oh, he's definitely not on duty. Oh no, give me your gun. He's definitely not on duty. No.
So at this point, they go to Martin Lawrence's house and meet his family, and their girls are there and everything. And that's kind of where we get introduced to the first health situation with Mike Laurie, Will Smith's character. Right? Isn't that about the time he like has like a panic?
Yeah, his panic attacks start at some point. I can't remember the first one that happens, but yeah, he starts getting panic
I
attacks.
thought his first panic attack was
He didn't know why.
It was on the first. It was on their first. It was on their first action scene
Yeah.
after Martin's death,
when
near
you're on
death
the highway,
thing.
right?
Yeah, because he had a shot, he couldn't take it. He was stuck.
Yeah,
He
it
had
was
shell
when
shock or
It
something.
was right when you said when you're jumping out in front of the traffic and stuff like that, and then Martin had to come out and save him.
Yeah. How did y'all? I mean, how did y'all feel like? Did that fit his character?
I think it was dope because up to this point, we almost have always seen Mike Lowry be invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
bulletproof Lowry, right?
Yeah, like he is. We've never seen a fault in him other than a womanizer. You know what I'm saying? Like never.
Yeah, I will say I liked it being introduced, and I think that I think this is something that we kind of Trey, you and I have talked about before, but I really like that you have like an ultra masculine character that's dealing with a mental health thing that's very common, like to deal with like mental health issues like of depression or just anxiety or something like that. And a lot of times, especially in some communities or amongst like law enforcement or whatever, like it's not cool for you to talk about that. Like, nah, you're just being like a little bitch or whatever. But I like that. I didn't really like how they resolved it. But we can get to that later. But I did not like how they resolved it. It didn't make sense to me. It was kind of a cop out. But we can get to that one later.
Yeah. So so that happened. It was in the streets. I actually liked that whole scene. It was pretty. It was a role reversal because here's Martin Lawrence on the car because he's feeling invincible.
Yeah.
And he's literally. So all right, he's on the car and he's chasing him. He's telling the driver, "Go, go, go." The driver was like into it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
To drive him into the. That's what I thought I picked up for a second.
That's what I don't know. Maybe that was just like a little slip where like whoever he was in the car was laughing or something like that. But
yeah, but I just remembered. Cool, I don't think that. So we got introduced to the villain before that scene happened.
Quick little cameo here. The guy who was driving that car. Do you know who that was?
I knew he was somebody. Who was it?
Michael Bay.
Oh, was it? That's right. I knew I saw Michael Bay.
Porsche driver.
I knew it was somebody. There was also in that same scene. It was also the viral TikTok dude.
Yeah,
that dude. That dude.
Right. I was thank you for saying that, Corey, because I was trying to remember where I saw Michael Bay because he also does a cameo in the third one, and I was mixing them up, and I thought he was at the wedding scene, but no,
there was actually like 7
cool
cameos.
But Trey,
so actually, before we go into that, I went past something, and Chris, you reminded me.
That's what I was about to say.
So the first one actually was the wedding, and it was Jay Shetty, the podcaster who met fishing.
Yeah, he was the wedding official.
No, wasn't the first one? Wasn't the first one the dude in the convenience store at the very beginning? The dude that was trying to rob him.
Who was he?
Hold on, let me see.
I don't know.
Because I looked it up afterwards. Continue on. I'll find him.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So as Chris looks that up, this is the main reason why I did not like this film. There were so many celebrity gimmick cameos that were just like, why to me? And what it did was it reminded me that I'm watching a movie. It kept taking me out of it for me personally, because I know who that person really is. I know, like, it was just, and then it was so much of it. So as we get into it, I mean, we had Jay Shetty, we had the guy, we had Michael Bay, Joyner Lucas,
Canby Lamb,
we had
Joyner Lucas, John.
What's his name?
French,
the other dude, French. No.
Khaled.
Not
DJ Khaled.
I'm sorry.
DJ Khaled.
Yeah. DJ Khaled's character from the
and then
third one.
Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish was the girl with the hair that you're talking about.
Yeah, but Tiffany's no longer like she's not a cameo. She's an actress now. Like, you know what I mean? She's no longer. She's crossed. I think she's crossed that point to where she's a comedian actress. She's like a Kevin Hart kind of.
See, the funny thing, I don't know who most. I mean, like Michael Bay, I recognized, and it was such an obvious, like, they lingered on him, and he's such a weird looking dude that I was like, oh yeah, that's Michael Bay. But DJ Khaled, he was a character in the third one, so I was kind of like, whatever. I don't know. I didn't know who any of these other people are, so it didn't really affect me the same way, Trey. Like, I didn't pick up on it because I have no idea.
Joyner Lucas, he's a rapper, and I for one, I really I like him as a rapper. He's one of my favorite. and I respect him on how he got in that movie.
I knew he was gonna be in this movie. I knew it. That was
Yeah, he was
crazy.
very smart on what he did. So what he did is he made a music video about
Okay.
He made a tribute. It
And-
wasn't no music video. He made a tribute.
Yeah,
It's
a
crazy.
tribute to Will Smith, and he acted as Will Smith in all of his hit films in one music video, and it was dope. And it was just, and then they started hanging out, and it's like you knew he was gonna get his shot to
Oh
shine,
yeah.
Like,
or
Okay.
his spot to shine.
It's all about who you know.
Just like, yeah. So
That's
that
crazy.
that was dope. I respect that, but it was just too much for me. It was just like the Y guy. I just that's
Well,
I
they
don't
used
know.
him. They used him a lot to like promote the film, so I guess
Social
that's why
media,
they wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
pull him in.
Gotcha.
And that's why I kind of said like this movie a little bit was like forced. I don't know if it was forced as much as
Yeah.
now I'm trying to say it was kind of like a cash grab where they just were like, hey, let's do
Yep.
everything we can to market this big and
For
get
the
as
word.
much money as we can out of it. So
Yep,
sometimes you
it's-
have to have
and
those
that's-
big names come in because even if they're just little cameos, that also brings their following into the film and say, hey, oh, DJ Khaled's in this. Oh, Jordan Lucas is in this. I just want to go watch the film just because of that one person. So even if it's just a tiny little cameo, you're still bringing in money.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. And this movie, maybe I'm in the wrong era because, of my advanced age where I'm like, oh, this is the movie that you find on like TNT or FX or whatever. And I'm like, no, this is actually the movie that you find clips of on TikTok because of all the cameos and like the brief action scenes and all the colors. And like you're tapping into an audience that just wants to see little bits of things. They don't care about like the cohesion.
Yeah. And I guess cameo, would John Sally not be a cameo, or is he an actor?
Yeah, he's
now, or
he's
what?
listed as one of the 7 that I saw on this website. I was just
Yeah.
looking
Okay.
at.
as a cameo, is he still a cameo? He's been a part of their franchise since the beginning.
Yeah, he's been
Right, and that's
true,
what like Jake
Yeah.
was talking about. DJ
Yeah,
Khaled
he's
was in the
not.
previous.
He's part of that
two.
cast. If they cast a movie for
Yeah.
Bad Boys, his name should be on the call list.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about his scene and how did that's the club scene. I don't know how far we're getting into it, but we might skip around and stuff. But all right, we'll talk about Fletcher. Fletcher, Chris, do you want to remind the audience who Fletcher?
So Fletcher was a character from, I believe, the first movie. He was in jail, but he's always been this crazy smart dude. I got some Fletcher glasses. I'm about to go get them in a minute. They're from my army days. But anyway, he was really good at like hacking. So they've always used him for the technical side of stuff. He's really good. And in this movie, he was good at hiding information. He hid it from these bad guys. Even they couldn't get into it. He set these fail safes. So when they tried to get into his information, it triggered a whole thing that was from Captain. So Captain sent the message through Fletcher and all this stuff. So that's how we meet Fletcher in this movie.
Yeah. Which kind of
did
weird
it break
as you
your
guys
heart?
Say again?
I was
Yeah,
gonna
man.
ask
Fletcher's
if it
the
broke your
best,
heart.
bro. He was the best. They got him. But he'll always
Yeah.
live through us, bro. I promise you.
Death spoiler. Sorry, and we'll let Jake take that.
Yeah,
over.
no, I mean, like, and he's funny. I think he was kind of funny in his scene in this, but it was also like, I mean, number one, it's like the devices that the captain uses to like give them information where he's just like, I'm like, why didn't you just like have a text message sent of like, just do this, go here? And I know he was trying to hide it in case it fell in the wrong hands, but
They were
He
tracking their
was-
phones.
Yeah, they had to have multiple devices. Look at him.
Don't
Hey,
put him
Trey.
on like him too.
Said, listen up, stupid. Oh, man. Yeah, those are the Fletchers right there, Trey.
did you,
That
Trey,
was-
did you
that's
like
hilarious. I'm gonna
that
miss
shot? Did you like that shot that they did when they were sitting there talking to him and they kept reversing? He's like, they're like looking up at him and then he's looking down at them, like where it was like,
Yo, do you know what that came from?
what?
Okay, so in the first movie, they did that same thing where he was chained to a table on a computer. Martin was talking shit to him, and they did the View, and he said something to Martin, and Martin said, "Man, I will knock you the fuck out."
And he stood up.
Oh,
And
that is so
that's
funny.
comedy.
And they used that same switch camera.
Yeah.
Okay,
I will
that's
say
cool. That's a cool
they
call. I like
they hit on a few things like that. Like they brought back some elements that they already created, which was
Yeah.
really dope.
Just makes you laugh when you're in the crowd, Yeah.
But yeah, like I
Yeah,
said,
for
you
sure.
guys missed. I guess you guys missed once Fletcher was shot. after that whole fight scene was over,
Yeah.
they pulled the gurney out where he's dead, and they got him on the gurney, and his knees are just hanging off of the edge.
I'm gonna go
His
look
feet
for
are
it.
dragging on the ground as they're pulling him out.
Me and Calvin saw it because we started laughing, bro. Hey, Chris, his toes were dragging. It was pretty good.
Bro,
I would
can't.
say
about that, man.
they had some humor in there like that. That was like, if you were watching good enough, you saw it. It was fucking hilarious.
Man.
Speaking of funny character scenes, we're probably gonna hop around, but let's just hit them. Someone from a previous movie made a jump back, and it was probably one of my favorite character introductions of Bad Boys that they did, which was Reggie. Reggie came back for this one, and Reggie went in. So anybody want to take it away on that scene?
That was crazy.
I'll go real
that
quick. I'm sure
nuts.
everybody else has everyone has their own take on this scene, but for me, I liked how they filmed it was cool because like you not only are actually in the scene at times.
Tell us what happened
sometimes.
First.
Okay, so
tell us how it got to
when once the bad guys found out, that Martin and Will were onto him, they then went after their families. So as soon as they knew that they were going for their families, Martin's character calls and says, "Hey, Reggie, get everybody in the safe room. There's people coming. They're there now. Like, go." So
and those guys were going in the house with the notion. They said we only need one. They just needed one hostage.
And Reggie is, what I don't know.
I'm a U.S. Marine, sir.
Was he a Marine? Yeah. And
he did a job. I'm a U.S. Marine.
He was so when he got the call, he was sitting down playing Call of Duty or some kind of like first-person shooter on his TV, and then he puts the controller down, goes into Marine mode, and just like takes out everybody who came into that house. And just you see it shot from, like I said, you're in the house at one point, and then sometimes you go back to and you see it on the security camera footage. So that was kind of cool how they shot it like that. But to me, that was him playing Call of Duty. He was clearing the house just like he just got done doing on Call of Duty. So that's what I thought was cool about it. But
I thought was crazy was that I was thinking those guys that were clearing those rooms, they were not expecting that on the other side of the door. You know what I mean? Like they weren't expecting somebody to rush them. And that's what they did in this fight scene that was different than other fight scenes I've seen. Where people are like sitting behind something waiting for them to reload. Reggie was not waiting. He did not care, bro. He was like rushing, stabbing, like he did the melees, bro. He was on it. That scene was crazy. And
that scene was my favorite. Yeah, go on.
It would have been perfect if it wasn't for the ending. The ending was just whack to me.
The ending.
What did he do, Chris?
It was just whack, bro. You don't look at a Simply Safe camera and do this.
Oh yeah.
You don't do that, bro. You're not looking at a Simply Safe and saluting anything.
I mean, I think that was a little bit of like a middle finger, in a way where he was just like,
not to mention
off because he's such a
Reggie was proud. Reggie was proud of that moment.
Yeah. But not to mention, he couldn't even hear Martin. Even if he could have thrown up a salute, his ears would have been ringing. He wasn't wearing no ear protection. He wouldn't have heard shit coming out of that weak ass camera.
I love how realistic Chris demands this to be. He's like,
because I think about stuff like that, bro. I think about stuff like that because
you gotta put your head into the realism.
It's crazy.
You know what? If you weren't just like a pilot puke, man. If you were like a U.S. Marine like Reggie and a badass,
I know it.
He doesn't need it here, man.
I should have been a Marine pilot.
So I'm trying to look it up because I'm curious who the stunt coordinators were, if they were the same for John Wick, because I looked at that and I saw John Wick. Like he was doing the movements, he was the hand-to-hand combat, the close combat, everything. It was some John Wick like shit. So I thought that was dope. Just like the whole coordination of that. And I think some of that was kind of like a one take. Am I right or wrong, Jake? Did you see where it kind of like it didn't transition much? Like it was a lot on to the next, and
I think they did a one take,
that
but
way.
I mean, just like any other one
wasn't a
take,
long one.
as you know, and they do this in anything that they do a one take on. I mean, being able to move between the two camera setups that they had allowed them to kind of like fake the one take, but that's how one take is always done, especially in like an action scene, because there's going to be a mistake somewhere, and so you have to kind of stitch it together. Like the movie, I feel like they kind of did some. Was it called Hardcore Harry, something like that? And that was like they shot that all with like what's that camera, the little GoPro, pretty much. And it looks like it's all one fluid first person like action scene, but whenever he turns like this, the camera's tracking with him, and it's like that's when they would stitch things together. That's he would jump down somewhere and they would stitch that together where it's like it looks like it's all continuous, but they had to cut.
So I know
that scene specifically is like, I don't know where we were in the movie, but it definitely woke up the theater. The theater was hyped for it. I think just because it was Reggie, it was like really action forward, but it got the theater hyped from what I remember.
And again, Reggie is one of those characters that's you really want to see him in a movie with a Bad Boys movie. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those staple characters. If I don't see him, I'd be like, "Yo, Reggie wasn't in that movie."
Yeah,
he was just the problem for me for him being a continued character is just he didn't have much dialogue outside of just like
he never has.
That's why I don't understand. I don't know if it will like he couldn't be a main character in a further film.
But I think he could. I think they could grow him into that. Remember, like the first movie, his only words was "Yes, sir." Yeah. "No, sir." That was it. You ever slept with a man? No. Yeah, that was it. And that's when we met Reggie. And ever since then, we love him. We love him. Like,
I mean, Courtney, I don't think you're wrong. Like as he stands right now, like if right now you told me that the next movie was going to be Armando and Reggie, I'd be like, Armando makes total sense. Yeah, Reggie, we saw he could do the action, but like,
you'd have to
see as like a dude. But
so I want to talk.
They'd have to do more.
I want to talk about the villains real quick. So we have the true major villain. We have the snitch. So I want to talk about the first scene where we kind of meet the true villain because Corey started talking about it. This dude walks into this penthouse. This guy. This sugar daddy is banging his young lady, or not
mistress. She's a mistress. Give her the right title, man. She's a mistress.
Trey wouldn't know anything about that type of stuff, man.
No, and he comes and takes them on a couch, and he holds a gun to the guy, and he literally makes him put in a password, shoots him, and then talks to it was pretty badass that he did it. But then he slowly turns the gun toward the girl and looks like y'all got in an argument. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know how that was. Like,
you want me to tell you how it happened? So it's like this. So the guy, the old man that's with the mistress, he is a banker of sorts or some sort of account holder. He's got the captain's account numbers. So these bad guys are trying to frame Captain. So they go to this penthouse. He's there with his mistress. They say, "Give us the accounts, or we're going to hurt you." He says, "No, I'm not going to give you the accounts. These people are going to hurt me if I give them to you." And they said, "Oh, really?" So they call his wife and they said, "Hey, does your wife know about this girl?" And she said, "John, who's that?" And he hung up the phone real quick and he said, "Oh, here's the code." "Really, bro? You're more afraid of he's more afraid of his wife than the gun in his face. So he puts the code in, right? And he's like, "They'll never believe this. They'll never believe." He's like, "Oh, they'll see that you were with your mistress." Bang! Your wife found out about it because obviously I just showed her. And then, in a fit of rage, you kill yourself. Bang! And now she's dead. This guy's a dollar bob. Like, if he had not said anything, story's over.
I mean,
you see what I'm saying? Yeah. You're in a situation where you're with a bad guy who has broken into your home, put a gun to your head for information. You're not walking out of there because you can ID him. You're not. Yeah. He's gonna kill you. Bro, at that point, man, I'm going to be the most stubborn hostage ever, bro. You're going to kill me anyway.
Yeah.
Just do it, bro.
I feel you on that, man. And it's like, I always, the example that I always think of with that, Chris, is American History X, right? And he's not looking for information, but the scene I'm talking about when he's like, "All right, get on the ground, put your mouth on the curb." I'd be like, no,
that movie.
No, you shoot me right now. Shoot me.
I said that when I saw that movie. I said, bro, there's no way I'm putting my mouth on that curb. You're gonna have to beat me to a pulp and do it to my dead body because I'm not doing it. Like, there's no way.
Blow my brains. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna shoot me? Like shoot me now.
You want to know something? To this day, to this very day, I don't like watching fights because of that scene in that movie. Like, you can ask Trey, when fights start happening, unless I'm in it, I'm out. I'm not watching it. Fights, I can't. That made me grossed out for the rest of my life.
Yeah. But to answer your question completely, Trey, I liked it. I thought it was effective. I mean, again, we had like a nice, evil, silver-haired white guy who like does something vile to people, and he's, you know, he covers it up by making
he's
it
a good
like
villain.
A murder, suicide.
He's a good villain.
All right, you know, that's fine. I mean, I get what you mean, though, Chris. I mean, like it's convoluted, it's set up. If that dude says no, but this is that type of movie. You know,
I get it.
So
I get it.
Saw him
I'm
there,
just saying,
and
if that guy had any sort of backbone, that story's over.
Yeah.
I mean, he was pretty like multi-talented guy, wasn't he? Because he did all that. He was sniping. He sniped Fletcher.
He's a major for the Rangers.
And he
so then he was on the helicopter with that helicopter scene, which Chris already hates. He was the culprit behind that too.
Yeah.
And everything, which was
as soon as they would have blown that rotor in the back, there's no more spit. You're in an uncontrolled. You're a rock. You have no more. You're dead.
Scene. How did they shoot that scene?
CGI probably.
That
Definitely, they're not blowing up a helicopter in flight.
CGI or model, probably.
Yeah.
It was just a lot. It was kind of cool. Where it's just like everywhere, boom, 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 boom.
Right there at that point in the film, we kind of transitioned into Martin Lawrence and Will Smith's character becoming now outlawed.
Fugitive.
Because all right, so if you don't know, in the helicopter scene at this point, they broke out Will Smith's son Armando because he was a key to proving the innocence of Captain. So they're now on the run together.
No.
It kind of got.
They didn't break him out. He was pulled out by the politician, and that's how they got on that helicopter. They only got on the helicopter because the politician told them, right? So they were transporting him to Florida, I think, or somewhere else.
Yeah,
and then getting protective custody, basically.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So they were placed there
because we missed another really good scene before that. What was that? The prison fight scene.
Oh my gosh, Armando went to gladiator school, bro. That was crazy.
When he had that 45-pound plate and he was about to smash that dude's head, I was holding my head like this. Is he gonna do it? But then they stopped. I was like,
as soon as he put his shirt through the hole, I said, "Oh man, they're fucked." I said, "They're fucked." If you do something like that, you already know you can swing it. You're in trouble.
Yeah. That's the last thing I want to get hit in the face with.
Bro, if I would have been on that squad and I saw him do that, I'd have been like, bro, he's about to swing that weight. I'm over here, homie.
I'm dropping my shank and walking away.
Yeah. Can any of y'all swing a 45?
Trey, getting hit in the face with a 45-pound weight or being curb stomped?
Both are equally terrible.
If you had to choose, I think we're all getting shot in this situation.
I'm not getting curb stomped. So
I'm not gonna willingly put my mouth on some concrete and wait for somebody to stomp on the back of my head.
Yeah, how bad does your cardio have to be to get hit by somebody swinging a 45-pound weight? Like, you could just run.
Yeah.
You could just get away. Like,
yeah.
That's fine.
So the helicopter scene is one of my favorite scenes. If I can go into it real quick.
Go on. What was it?
Yeah.
So I really, every Bad Boys film, they always go into the Bad Boys song. You know what I'm saying? And when the helicopter crashed, and Armando and Mike and Marcus are walking through the forest, they're like, "Hey, we gotta find." We got to get out of these clothes or whatever. So they come up on a redneck trailer park out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
and
that was funny.
So as they're coming up, they're pulling some clothes off of a clothesline, and they put the clothes on and change. And Armando's character kind of goes off, and Martin and Willard talking back and forth, and these two redneck guys come up with shotguns, and they're talking to him. And they're like, what are you boys doing out here? And they're like, nothing. They're like, well, where'd you get those clothes? And he's like, I got these clothes out of my black closet. And hands down, and he's wearing a shirt that says purebred white boy. This is Marcus's character. This is purebred white boy. And then Mike's character has on a Reba McEntire shirt and a cut off flannel. And so they ask him, they're like, hey, if you know Reba and that's your shirts, then sing us a Reba song.
Yeah, what's
And
your
they're
favorite
trying
Reba
to- Pause.
McEntire song?
Now pause.
Okay.
Corey, name a Reba song.
Fancy. And that's what they were almost getting ready to sing. I don't know if
I
you
couldn't
know it or
name
not.
nothing.
That's-
I thought you were about to ask me. I was about to say I'm dead. If my life was on it, bro, I'm dead. I'm
would've
dead.
come-
I didn't
would've
have to
had you
ask
said,
Chris.
like her show. Like I would be like, oh, just loved her show, Reba.
Yeah.
Like
I'd have been
Look up-
dead.
if you
Trey,
look up the song
dead,
Reba
bro. Like I
Fancy,
can't
Yeah,
answer
me too.
nothing about Reba. Nothing. Dead.
So
you
I'm
would
finished.
know Fancy. If you heard the show. Anyway, they were on the verge of almost singing Fancy. You know, something like, "Here's your one chance, Fancy, don't let me down." You know that song? You heard it?
no.
Nah.
No.
I've never heard that song before, Corey.
this is basically the equivalent of him
So-
singing the Bad Boys chorus and then us going snick snuck snuck.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
scene,
right.
they go back and forth and they start going, and then all of a sudden they just start singing Bad Boys, and then the guys are getting ready to shoot them, and then here comes Armando with the truck and just runs over the two redneck dudes, and then when they're in the truck driving off, and Reba is actually like singing her version of Bad Boys, like that had me just laughing for a bit because that was actually Reba singing Bad Boys. If you didn't know that,
Yeah.
when they were
I
in
knew
the
it was a
truck
country
driving off.
version, but I didn't know.
Yeah, that was
Reba, so
actually
that's pretty
Reba
cool.
McEntire singing
Yeah.
it. So
That was Reba, which
that was
was
pretty
the-
funny.
Wow, that's
That's
pretty
probably
cool.
my
That was
favorite
Hey,
fun.
Trey,
comedic
real
scenes.
quick, before we go on to the next thing, there was something that you and Jake said that you wanted to remember that happened a lot in this movie, but you said you wanted to notice if we had noticed it.
Talk about this. He's saying the thing that kept popping up that was a gimmick.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was just the celebrities. I just ruined
Oh,
it
the
for me.
cameos,
Just-
yeah.
I
Which
could
I'll
have
is
say, though,
sworn.
that's-
Yeah.
yeah.
I could have sworn in this movie I saw name brand products.
Oh, dude, of course.
Am
you
I
did.
tripping?
Yes, definitely.
No,
Yeah.
I saw a
absolutely.
bunch then
Yeah,
because
there's
I
a
remember.
lot.
I remember saying,
Bud
"Is this
Light,
allowed now?"
And I thought it was funny that Bud Light okayed it for the Mexican guy to wear it. I love that. 'cause,
Oh,
you know,
dude, that
was
some
on
right now are not
purpose.
"Okay, I
happy.
wasn't tripping then."
Yeah.
All
That
right.
was the outfit that Armando stole from the.
Yeah.
When did they
Which
make
is-
this okay? Like when did this start being okay? Because wasn't it
Dude,
before?
it's
Like
always been. That's
Since-
I
always
could have
Yes,
been.
been
swore they
okay,
always use
but not-
knockoff names for stuff.
No.
No,
It
but not
depends
as
on
not
if
as
you have
much.
it depends on if you have the money to get
Exactly,
the sponsor
yeah.
for it.
Well, yeah, because that's the
Like,
thing. Like,
you
if
probably
you get
pay for
like
the
if you
rights.
get Bud Light in there, like you could just put it in your movie, but then they'll probably demand money if they aren't a sponsor. But if they sponsor you, then they're putting money towards it, so you show Bud Light.
They're
So
waiting for you
Exactly.
to force it into the film.
yeah,
Hmm.
and it's like
Yeah.
most Michael Bay movies. I mean, what was it? I mean, I didn't even see it, but it's one of the Transformers movies is like infamous for them just like constantly pulling out like Coca-Cola or like
This
They-
movie
yeah.
did something that was blatant like that. I can't remember what. I'm gonna find it.
yeah. There's
By the way, I did find that guy, the actor from the first scene.
oh, who is it?
Sorry to say this, but he was a nobody. I was wrong. That was like his first big movie. I
There's
hope
somebody
him.
now.
I wish him well because I could have swore I recognized him. He looked like Mac Miller to me when I saw him. That's what it was.
Mac Miller's dead, man.
Rest in
I
peace.
know. I said he looked like him.
Mac Miller's in this movie, bro. He's
No,
not
I
dead.
said he looked like him.
Yeah, real quick
So
before
at
we
the
move
end
on
of
from
this
that,
point,
though.
He was an AI cameo of Mac
He was
Miller.
an AI
An
cameo.
AI cameo
God.
of Mac Miller.
It's
Man.
different. But before we move on from that little sequence, because I like that sequence, I did kind of feel like the part that I liked the most about like the beginning of the movie is I felt like they kind of took their time a little bit. Like they had like moments and like they seemed like a little bit more interpersonal. The rest of the movie like blows by so fast. I
Flies
felt like
You're right. Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say that because I was gonna tell you, Jake. Like, I really liked the opening scene, like all
Yeah.
the visuals from the near death experience. I really
Mhm.
enjoyed that, and I
Yeah.
remember it vividly. But you're right, all the other stuff. I remember there being action. I remember Reggie's scene, but I don't remember much of the shit in
It's
between.
it's
The
kind of a blur,
the
and it's like,
rednecks.
oh, go
The
ahead.
I didn't
redneck
remember about
scene,
that
just
till
real
Corey said
quick,
something.
because well, that's what I was gonna say. Is I remember watching that and I was like, oh, I expected more. So like you're
Yeah.
right, Jake. Like they rushed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they got to a different environment and we were out of it. Different
Yeah,
Trey,
environment, we were
I
out
I
of
thought
it.
they were gonna go back and talk to the same guys that they had arrested in a previous
Yep.
movie.
Yeah.
I know my rights. I thought they were
Yeah,
gonna get that
exactly.
guy.
That was weird because that was always such like a bad boys thing. It was like they would show up and they had like the hoods on or whatever, and they pull off and they're like, then they sing Bad Boy song. So I was waiting for that like setup, and I was just like, I mean, there were two things about it. It's like one, so it's like they have the campfire scene where they have like a little bit of their character moment between Armando and Mike, where they're kind of trying to reconcile, and it's like I liked the dialogue in that mixed with like what happened in the car where they kind of continued the conversation while the Reba song is playing and they're driving into the city. And it's like if they had just combined that and given that a little bit of room to breathe, and then given them like more motivation to actually steal the clothes, like I don't know, maybe they're a little bit more dirty or they actually get into something. But
Yeah.
it's just I don't know. There wasn't that big like fun reveal of like them busting in and like owning a couple of like I don't know.
Like you said,
KKK
they
dudes or
rushed it
whatever.
because they literally went from that redneck scene and they drove straight into the
strip
city
club.
and got right into the Tiffany Haddish scene at the strip
Yep.
club. Like it was just like boom, boom. Like let's get
Immediately.
all this stuff over with real quick so we can
Yeah.
go back to the main scene.
Yeah.
I don't know. This was kind of
So
Yeah.
in
so I
this
said some
at
of
this
it
point,
seemed forced.
we get introduced. So they're at the strip club because they feel like Tiffany Haddish's character is going to help him, but obviously she turns on him. And real quick, actually, as we were hitting on this, we run into Tiffany Haddish, Joyner Lucas, and DJ Khaled, like all in like the span of what 10 to 15 minutes,
Yeah,
maybe.
because
If
as soon as
that.
they walk out, that's when DJ Khaled comes in. As soon
Yeah,
as they get away
and
from
that's motivated by they put out a hit on
Yeah.
or a bounty or whatever.
It's
on-
basically a scene where, just like every other scene where a drug deal goes wrong. It was a drug deal gone wrong scene. Except for DJ Khaled gets the craziest on-screen death
Bruh.
up to that point.
Smashed in between a car, and then I don't even know how he caught on fire, but a fireball. What did that come from? And he just.
Bro, I was in there laughing like I am now, bro. I said, "Oh my god, somebody really didn't like DJ Khaled."
Yeah, he got roasted.
They think
God,
a Molotov
bro.
cocktail from like a building
That's
or
what it
something.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Well,
Okay, so then what happened?
Wait, but really, so with the
That was the
strippers-
last death.
with the
Yeah,
strippers
strippers
though.
started first.
Was anybody a little surprised? I mean, like I'm not like I don't care. Like you can put like content into my movies or whatever, but like I was a little bit shocked. Like when she makes that comment when they're leaving, she's like, or like she makes one offer to Mike, and she's like, "You can eat my." I was just like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Bro,
what
all right,
is
so
this- what is this?
that
rated?
dialogue, I love the dialogue, and it was hilarious. It was like that
Yeah.
raunchiness that we needed, and it was
Mhm.
like that was enough of it compiled there to last. Because it was the whole film wasn't raunchy, but like that
Yeah,
whole
because
part
normally
right there,
Bad
it was
Boys,
raunchy.
if I remember right, the first one had like a lot more nudity and stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
And there was like hardly any nudity like in this film,
I
except for
don't think there
Martin's
was
ass.
any. Was there?
because they want, so on that, they want their market reach to be wide. And one,
Yeah.
they can't, you got to think, so this goes into ruining movies. If they slowed down, they kind of kept it on that same trend, had some sexualization in it and whatnot, but they couldn't because they have all these celebrities that probably are like, oh, I need this to be a PG-13 movie that reaches this market. They accommodate it to too much to me. And like,
Mhm.
that's kind of like a cop-out.
I mean, rated R movies don't do as well at the box office because you can't get like that 13 and under audience that wants to go out during the summer and go watch a movie. So traditionally, if you want something to do better at the box office, you do PG-13 and under.
Yep.
Was it rated
So,
PG-13
sell out
or R?
to me.
I don't even remember.
Probably.
I don't. It definitely wasn't R. It definitely
No.
was not R. But is there an M for movies? I know there is. An
There,
M
there
for
is,
games.
yeah. There's X. There's let's
What
see.
was Bad Boys 2? I have it on IMDb right now. But what was their rating? Why is it
Yeah.
not just showing it first thing? Oh, it was rated R. It was
That's
just
what I was
really
gonna say. It is
small.
rated R. Yeah.
It
Just
did,
probably
man,
for
it did not
maybe-
seem
violence and
Maybe because of drugs and violence, and maybe we'll get
And
into
language,
some
probably.
violence next. Language wasn't that bad to me, except for that one bit at the strip club.
Yeah.
That was all to me.
I
All
mean,
right,
I
so
guess they
on the
dropped like a
violence
few
part,
F-bombs or whatever, but
yeah, the I really thought so. One person that had a how do y'all think they played with the female characters and gave them like their own kind of badass moments? Do you feel like they got it? Any? Because I think of the elevator scene, and it almost got her, but then she got
Trey,
overpowered.
I was like, yo, this elevator scene, every man in this theater has been in that moment. Where you get your phone snatched.
Oh,
You gotta either just play it cool, you gotta get it back.
yeah.
Yo, there's no halfway.
That was a shout out to Jay-Z, on the
Yo, that was crazy.
the
That was crazy. As soon as I saw that, I said, "Oh, he's about to murder her." I thought he was about to kill her.
I thought so.
Bro.
Well, he would have. He was
He
choking
tried.
her out, and
That's
then
what
the
I'm
other girl
saying.
slid in and she choked him out. I was like,
Isn't it crazy, man?
I thought,
they
I don't
got
know. I mean, like I said, they kind of introduced Mike's wife as a new character, and she wasn't like a wuss or something like that. Like she stood up to the bad guys, kind of, but she was really just there to be rescued. Kind of the same thing with
She don't want to be
the
saved.
captain's granddaughter, and which is fine. She's young. In the third one, I can't remember the you have like Bjorn Ironsides, like the big white dude who flies the drones, and then you have like the short Latina girl or whatever she is.
That's Vanessa Hudgens, right?
Is that Vanessa Hudgens?
Is that what it is?
I think so.
I don't know, man. I didn't recognize her, but maybe you're. Oh no, you're right. You're 100% right. That's Vanessa Hudgens. I was just looking at the IMDb, but she was actually really badass in the third movie. Like she had a lot of like action scenes. Like she was shooting a lot of people. She was like sliding around, like clearing rooms, like going hand to hand. And this one, I thought like I don't really remember her doing much other than grabbing that dude.
No, yeah, she didn't do much.
Yeah, so that was. I don't want to call it disappointing because it's not a movie about that character. Ellie, I guess is her name.
She could have been in this movie also. Like we're talking about future films. Like this could be her making sure that she gets put into future films.
Yeah, like I could totally see like
this one.
I could totally see like her, Bjorn Ironsides, maybe Reggie still is like kind of like a side character, and then Armando. Like I could see that as like your team or whatever that kind of takes over. Like they don't.
What was her superpower? Like what did she bring to the team?
She was on the
she was the good
ammo,
fighter.
whatever, with the white dude. They were on.
No, I'm saying, what does she do though? Like
he in this movie she didn't do anything.
Oh, okay. I was about to say because I feel like she could have not been in this movie and it would have been the same.
Yeah. So in the third one, like if you remember, like she was basically like the Mike on the squad.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, I got what you're saying. Makes sense.
So at this point, we're at the point. So the elevator scene happens. We kind of are now revealed on who the snitch is. Y'all saw it coming, right? Like we knew.
As soon as when she got the phone call and you saw his reactions when she's on the phone and he's like, "Who is that?" and like trying to get all the information on like what she just found out. Like that's when I was getting skeptical for sure. Like 100%. Like yes, he's.
I knew the helicopter scene, bro. I knew for sure helicopter scene.
When they were having the office meeting. I don't know what it was. I wish I could, but the office meeting, something weird happened. I was like, I think that's him. But I didn't know for sure. But I was like,
I knew the second that they were like at the wedding and he walked up and said hi. And Mike was talking to Rita and was like, "Oh, like look at this power couple," and I was like, "Oh, that's the dude." I was like, "That's the dude." I was like, "I know it's him."
Yeah. So we find out that's the Weasel, and then I will say, because it's ringing a bell now. His reason for being a sellout was because he said they were making good with. What was his reason? With the border. This might get political. With the border and the cartels that they were able to control. And it almost, to me, was almost like, it kind of makes sense. So I was kind of like, but still, you snitching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
but not.
I don't know. It was very convoluted, and again, it kind of doesn't matter. But yeah, I see
No,
what
it
you mean.
didn't
Like, it
matter
kind of
at
makes
all.
sense. I could see how you might think that, or like how like if you were crazy, you would do it. But I don't know.
After
not
that elevator scene though, he pretty much like a punk bitch the entire rest of the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Bro,
whenever,
once you get caught, what can he do? What can he do?
yeah,
You're with the cops now, and you're a bad guy. Like, you got to do what they say, or it's curtains for you, bro. Like, if he
Yeah.
didn't go along with it,
Facts.
he's just in the cell for the rest of his days. You know what I mean? Like, he's caught.
what did you all think?
Yeah, on top.
What did y'all think about the technology that they used? Like, I know we talked about the drones and stuff, but did you notice whenever he was made and they had him in custody basically, and they made him say a couple things to get his
The voice matching.
and then they made that phone call to the other dude.
You know what's crazy? You should be afraid of that, people, because that is going to be real pretty soon.
For
I mean,
sure.
they
I'm sure it's already real.
Yeah.
I'm sure
It's
it's already
already-
real for them.
So
But I'm sure.
I'm gonna speak on something really quick to hit on that. So there's a scam going on where
That's what I was gonna say.
someone will call you and they don't say nothing because they want you to say a certain word, like then you say hello or this or that. So they're like, if they don't really have a reason calling you, don't say hello, don't say your name, don't say certain things in a
It's like
or
triggers.
or they'll say like, who is this? And they want you to say your name because what they'll do is they'll go and copy that and they'll call like your grandparents and say, hey, this is Trey and I need money. Can you send it? You know.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have just said that then, but you know.
Yeah, now they don't gotta get you. They got you saying, "Hey, this is
Hey,
Trey."
stop calling me,
That's
motherfucker.
the whole
I don't
line.
want to get us in trouble, but Riverside
never call
already
me
uses
again.
AI.
Stop
We're
calling me.
qualified, man.
Yeah, Riverside does use AI.
Yeah,
But anyway,
so
on that
we're
note,
already in
yeah. So, explosions and like scenes on that because Bad Boys is known for it. So we're at that point. We're at the dock. We're in Gator World, and this is where we start seeing shit blow up. I mean, what did it do for you all? Was it
Trey, this scene was crazy.
It-
Like I took our baby. Our baby was with us, and
Oh my gosh.
she slept. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, "Yo, her ears." And she didn't wake up. I was like, "How is she not waking up from either the noise or the action? What is going on?"
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I thought the action scenes were good. I knew eventually that what was that alligator's name
Yeah, the albino
that they had?
alligator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I mean, they
Was it just
they
frightening?
literally cut away from like the rest of the movie to take like a minute to like read a Wikipedia article about this albino alligator, and I was like,
And they gave him a half a second on screen.
and I'm like, why? Like just to introduce him for one bite?
I
Like, was
think-
like, what is this?
I think because it's true. I think they like really read all Wikipedia. That's why I think.
Oh, that would be
like
super
you
cool
said,
if that place is
wait,
actually
wait, wait.
abandoned out
So
there.
that would be another cameo then.
I think so.
That's another cameo
Oh,
because
shit.
basically at that point,
Yeah.
That's
true.
crazy if that's true.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I
but,
have to look that
mean,
up.
I
I
don't
was
know,
curious
like,
about that.
I thought that was cute to put them
There's
into like a fun place like the alligator park or zoo or whatever
But
it was.
they didn't
but-
have to have Mike almost kill him first though. Like,
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't gonna die. Remember, he didn't.
yeah, but they could have done that part after the fact.
Well, that's not to mention, by the way, and Chris, you know, I know how much you care about reality, but if it like a 16-foot or 20,
His arm was gone, bro.
Yeah.
When I saw that-
I legit thought his arm was just gonna be.
I thought the next scene was gonna be I didn't die, Mike.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be my arm is gone, but I didn't die, Mike.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was gonna
He's
happen.
just
But
got it's like a little dog bit him. You know,
Yeah.
he's cut up a little bit. You know?
trust me, Jake,
He's
I
not-
thought the same thing when the
You wanna know
alligator bit
what's-
him. I said the
You know
same
what's funny
thing.
about that alligator? Like,
Hmm.
there's a place in St. Augustine, Florida, called the Alligator Farm, and there is an alligator that size, like a huge alligator. But every time me and my wife go to there, that alligator is the most like docile thing. It's just sitting there and it doesn't ever move. Like
That's
so
because he's waiting to strike.
He's been
The
fed.
realism of that thing just taking off
Yeah.
and doing that is like not real to me.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't know. I like that they put it in like a fun place, like, you know, an interesting place for your shootout.
Yeah.
But I was like, why is there like just this one moment for this alligator to come? I don't know. That was kind of dumb, but I did like the shootout overall. Like I said, I did kind of feel like it sort of lacked a little bit of scale. Like it felt a little bit like claustrophobia.
One of my favorite parts talking about explosions is when the drones, the 3 drones are coming in, and that sniper has the tower up there.
Oh yeah.
And no one has a shot on the sniper, but
then
he sends in the sniper and just drops that bomb right on top of the sniper tower's head. It was like that was pretty cool little shot, because they followed the bomb down too. Like it was nice. That was a nice shot.
That was a good shot. I did like the first, and before we skip over it too, or forget about it, because it's like at the beginning of that shootout, so Mike can't take the shot because he's having a panic attack and he's afraid he's going to hit his wife, right? So then everything goes to shit. They run out onto the dock. He and Marcus are behind like a crate or whatever, and Mike's still having a panic attack, and Marcus is just like, it's so. This is what I had a problem with, because it was like, all right, you're introducing like a new character hook for him to like solve, learn about himself, whatever, and he doesn't conquer it by like, I don't know, like having an interaction with his wife or facing a fear or like talking to his son or something like that. No, his friend just slaps the shit out of him like 3 times, and then he's just like, all right, cool, like, and he just starts going around shooting people, and I'm like,
yeah, you know what? I think that was to have the comedian slap Will Smith back.
Yeah, which I get, and also, you know, I mean, hey, America's voted; they do not care. But
you're right, Jake. So this is where we start getting to the end of the movie, and things start coming together. And for me, they don't come together like that. The panic attacks didn't have a good come together. And then something else that I don't feel like people really thought about is, so Armando, right? And who hates Armando, which is the daughter of Captain, who's out to get him. But she does have a coming to heart because he saves her daughter, which I think that's how it should be. If you save, I don't know, that's kind of hard actually. But if you save my kid, I'm going to have a soft spot for you. But so he did that. But the thing that threw me off with that, where they came together and she gave him a chance to leave, was you go back to The Office where she runs into Will Smith, Mike Lowry, and she's pissed. She like hates him. And she's like, I don't know if my dad would still be here if it wasn't for your son. Like she obviously didn't like him. She wouldn't even touch him. But she was at his wedding. So I don't know. That to me was like, I don't know. That didn't make sense on the character.
Yeah, I think they were a little soft on it because it's like, if like I think because it's like, I don't know, like, yeah.
And that's my thinking, because I'm like, this needs to make sense when I write things. I'm like, this needs to make sense because this happened, that. So I just caught that. I'm like, why were you at the fucking wedding if you hate him? Because
I think they needed to like follow through with it more is what that is, where it's like, I think, you know, they had a few missed opportunities, like at the end when it's like you have, you know, I don't want to jump all the way ahead, but we're right there anyway. But it's like, you know, you have Marcus on the beach with the wife, and the main bad dude has them both at gunpoint, and he's forcing Mike to make a decision. And I'm like, man, what a great opportunity for him to have to deal with his anxiety right there, where maybe his friend and his wife help talk him through it, and he makes the right decision and shoots his buddy instead because he's invincible. That would have been fine. And then with the daughter, like maybe like if you have the U.S. Marshal, you know, that's so consumed by this anger, and she's staying away from Mike, she's like coordinating things against them. And then she shows up, and maybe it's like Armando has to come in and make a choice to save her as well. And it's like you just get like a little bit more motivation out of these types of things as opposed to just like dropping it in, like, oh, don't worry about it.
They didn't know how they wanted to end this movie.
No, that part that you just said though about Martin, like why didn't they talk him through it, and Martin, he could have just shot him because he couldn't die. I think Martin could only not die up to that point, because he could only not die up to where Mike had to make the decision.
Right.
True.
Right. So like if he had shot him, he would have, you know what I'm saying? Like but Martin could have died in that point.
Well,
he
sure,
was
he could have died.
Martin was definitely showing he was nervous at that point too.
Yeah.
That's why, because that was he could only not die up to that point.
Because he saw the tree where the bird was, and he's like, okay, now I
this
think
might
I've met
be
my
it.
mission. Yeah.
All right, so Corey, remind us where we are right now in the story and what the ultimatum is, and then I have a question for each of y'all on it.
For the what now?
The ultimatum that he had, like if you
Oh.
remind the
Yeah,
audience real quick, bro.
he said he had to make a decision between, like I said, I couldn't remember the full
Exact
wording
words.
of it, but
So
somebody
pretty
that
much
he
this
loved
whole
and whatever.
yeah, the whole build up to this point was that Mike Lowry was going to have to make a decision, and it was ultimately going to be between like Martin's character is someone he loves between someone he
Someone
loves,
he
and obviously
loved
we know
and
he loves his
someone-
partner.
Yeah. Well, his
Yeah.
wife is actually
So
the wife was someone he loved because the
right,
dude had his wife at gunpoint,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I forget the other wording of the
yeah.
ultimatum, but
So pretty much for me, and I'll put my input first and let you all take it. When I looked at that, I was like, all right, it's either the wife, it's Martin Lawrence's character. I don't know why I cannot think of his character's name in the
Marcus.
Marcus, sorry.
Marcus.
So it was either the wife, Marcus, or the son Armando. And I feel like they dropped the ball completely on building any type of environment where he had to really decide on that. What did y'all? It was just a miss for me.
it was just
Yeah.
predictable. That's how I took it. I mean, I knew exactly what was going to happen because before he said, "Well, here's one thing you don't know: one of you all can't die," and I was like, that was said at the very beginning. I knew that's exactly what he was going to do. You saw that he had a vest on, so boom, he's going to shoot him in
Exactly.
the vest.
Yeah.
He's going to fall down when he gets hit, and then he has an open target to hit the whole dude. So
Yeah, it's weird because it's like in the third movie, which I really didn't like as much or whatever, but they introduced this like element from Marcus, who kept telling Mike over and over again, because he prays to God and makes a vow of nonviolence to save Mike's life when he's in the hospital. And after that, he keeps telling Mike, like, you can't kill your son because your soul is at stake. So it's like you had like a direct link where he's like, if you do this, like he was basically almost being like a test of faith in a way. And in this movie, they kind of introduced something very similar to that. And I was like, if they changed it a little bit where it's like he couldn't make the decision because he was panicking, and his wife was there at gunpoint telling him it was okay, and his partner is like, Mike, trust me, like I can't die, and he's finally just like, I believe, bam, like it would have at least set up like more to carry that thread through, but it's like it was a weak setup because it's like you're on a beach.
Yeah.
I don't even understand how that guy got the drop while having a hostage on Marcus. Whatever, Army Rangers be doing Army Ranger stuff, I guess. But but Marcus didn't have his glasses on, So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was very weak. I don't know why the villain didn't just like start braining everybody right there, because he could have just shot them both in the back of the head, used a human shield, and then just lit Mike up too. I mean, I don't know. That's what I would have done.
All right, here's a question I
Yeah,
got. Just for reference, I would really like to see an action movie where the main villain doesn't always die last. Like when you're in a shootout and there's bullets flying, you're gonna catch one, bro. Like you're not gonna be the last one backed up in the corner every time. But some writers got to figure out a way to keep it interesting after that person dies. I'm sure it's very hard to do, but I would like to see it one day.
You can do it.
How do the goons fight after the bad guy goes down?
Yeah.
You know?
Usually you introduce something like something environmental, or a getaway, like you're running away from an explosion, or like something like that. That's usually how they do it, where it's like you blow it up and then there's the big escape afterwards, is usually like what the way that you would do it, I would say.
Yeah.
Speaking of it,
can I say one more thing, Trey?
Go ahead.
Last thing from me. That scene was crazy because I don't know if you all watched the news, but there was literally a Florida sniper who shot a bad guy that had 2 hostages through a computer right in the forehead.
I saw that.
It was crazy. It's basically the same shot. It was crazy.
I saw that footage. It was like a bank robbery.
Trey, you got to look at it. He shot him through a computer, off of a dude's shoulder in the back, right off of his shoulder, through a computer in the dude's forehead, between 2 people.
Between 2 hostages.
Yeah.
And it was in Florida. It was
One
Bad
that's-
Boys. It was real life.
One that's badass as that is, and Chris, you correct me, you have more training in it. That's what they don't want them to do. Like, even if you trust your rifle, you trust your sightings, you trust your knowledge, it's just like at that split second, the bystander could shift.
No,
Yeah.
see
So
the
you
sheriff's
have, like,
office
major
already.
bits, right?
The sheriff's office already talked about it. They said that that's the way that they train that shot. They said they train for that type of situation. So hey, man, he took the shot and he
Damn.
made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, not to get us
Florida.
off track, my bad. But that's great. I'm going to look that up. All right, so as we're wrapping this up, and we already talked about the ultimatum, how it was kind of trash, and that was just pretty much kind of the ending to it. What was I going to get at? So we're just pretty much at the end. I mean, how did it wrap up for you all? Did you all take it? How did it end for you? What was the ending like? That story.
I thought it was a good ending for what the plot allowed. It was they wrapped it up the best way they could. I mean, even though they revisited a beach scene in the movie, it was still, it was still decent. I did like the way they closed it because, they ended on a comedic level. They're having the same type of conversation they always do, and then Reggie shows up like he's about to do his meal prep, and they're like, "What you about to do?" He said, "I'm about to cook my chicken."
Yeah.
And then he said, Marcus, you about to let this up?" He said, "He killed 15 people in the house, Mike." "Yes, I'm gonna let him cook his chicken."
Yeah, he's got that crazy look in his eye. There's something about his eye.
Yes, that was the
And then
best. That was the best.
then the camera just focuses on his face and he just smiles.
Yeah.
That was the best. That was a good way to end
Nah,
it, I
that was-
suppose.
That was a
That's
good
fine.
wrap up. Yeah, that
It's
was.
good.
I like
It's
it.
a button.
So, as far as Jake, me and you on this, you're a industry professional in the talent sector, and I'm more into cinematography. Would love to hear your take. How's the acting? What would you give it overall for? We'll just say Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Did they hit
Okay.
their mark?
Yeah. I mean, because I already weighed in on like Armando, who I thought was, really, really good. Which I think that his name was like John Scipio or something like that. But anyway, I thought he was great. I mean, some of your returning characters that you have, are really funny. They're there for that. I mean, DJ Khaled, Khaled, he gives a masterclass on like how not to do acting in both the third one and this movie. I mean, he's just like he's terrible, but
Very cringe to watch act.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like
ooh.
you don't.
That's
But it's interesting because it's like one of the things that I never really got into Bad Boys about. Like I liked the second one from like the filmmaking standpoint, and I thought the storyline was probably a bit tighter. It's got some funny moments, but I always really liked Will Smith. Like he's got such screen presence and he's so charming, and he's really grounded in most of his roles. Like he buys in no matter how ridiculous it is. Like if you put him into iRobot or whatever, he talks to that robot like it's any of the other cast members on that, where he's he'll get in that robot's face and he'll threaten it, he'll do whatever, he does his job. Martin Lawrence, I just never found funny. Like he just never really worked for me because he has this like breathy mugging, and I get that's what he's supposed to be doing, that's him. But interestingly enough, I liked him better in this movie, Martin Lawrence, than Will Smith. And it's not that I thought Will Smith was bad. In fact, I think that you see like a little bit of like Will Smith's like maturity as far as like his acting goes. He just, for some reason, he didn't seem very invested. Like he seemed a little bit more flat than what he usually is. Like he didn't have like as many of those moments where he seemed to like really sizzle on screen. But it's interesting. He's become so good at like dialogue where it's like he goes between like speaking just like normal, normally like I'm normal American, like I am right now, to like Ebonics, like just like this. And it's like, and what I'm talking about with that is that he has a mastery over dialogue right now. And he does it in such like a subtle way. I mean, he's done Shakespeare. He's done some really heavy roles in his past. And I don't know if his investment in it just wasn't there because it is lighter material, but it seemed like in years past, he always brought so much energy to every sentence he said, every line he delivered. And now it just almost seems like it's old hat to him, and he delivers everything so well. Like you understand the intention. Even if you were watching this and you spoke Chinese, you would understand what he's talking about. But he just lacked like this, like that live wire side to him. So I think it was good, but it didn't have like that. Like it didn't. It was lacking from that Will Smith side. He just felt a little flat to me overall. And then there were a few spots where it's like they didn't really allow many moments for anybody to shine, like the wife.
I think that's what it
shine.
was, Jake. Because I thought the same,
Yeah.
and I think it was because what we were talking about earlier, where Martin just seemed drunk or high the whole time. I think Will was probably his. I think Mike was probably like, "What the?" He probably was. He couldn't do anything. He's just reacting the whole time. Like, what is Marcus doing? Why is he get out the street? Like stupid
Yeah.
stuff.
Like he's doing that, but it's like he seems like over it in a way, and it's like
Yeah,
the third movie he gets like a lot of like heavy lifting scenes because he has like his old love has set up his son that he finds out is his son to like kill him and everybody around him, and he kind of turns the screws on him. And it's not like, listen, we're not talking about like high art performances. This isn't like Philip Seymour Hoffman in The Master or something like that, but he gets some stuff to chew. And I kind of wonder, like, was that something Will Smith asked for? He's like, give my character something to do. I don't just want to be Mike, the hothead. I want to be a dad. Cause when he did the slap, he did King Richard, I think was the movie. Where he plays like Venus and Serena Williams' dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like he was going through a lot of personal stuff, obviously, which whatever, I don't. And he was also taking on a character that was this larger than life authoritarian figure who dealt with things by being the toxic masculine like dick. And I think that kind of bled into his life, to be honest with you. And I don't know. I think he's had. And again, I don't know personally with him a lot, but I think that he's had a lot of like investment in like what it means to be a father, what it means to be like a family man. And I think he's got, a chip on his shoulder or something he wants to say about it or something he's really invested in about that. So that seemed to come out in the third movie, but I just didn't quite see it here. Like, I don't know if I don't know. But yeah, those are my thoughts. It was good.
Okay.
Not great.
Yeah, and as I go into mine, I'll say I guess my take, I like agree with you in most of it, and I think I kind of blame the writers and like the creators of this because I feel like they try to share the wealth a little too much.
Yeah.
Because other than Martin Lawrence, I feel you're right. Martin Lawrence was heavy, and then there was Will Smith, but Will Smith was like not that much heavier than the supporting cast. If you started to combine all the cameos and all that stuff, they might even outweigh what Will Smith kind of laid into the movie. So, but I don't know. I feel you there on your take on that.
But one thing about the Bad Boys movies, just real quick, they always cast in a way that it's like, other than the cameos, everybody comes in and does their job really well. Like, this is your archetype. This is your type of character. Do it. Like anything from your redneck to your captain to your jealous cop coworker to your gangbanger, like all of them come in and do that job really well. So kudos to the cast overall for Bad Boys.
They casted it well. So to wrap it up, cinematography wise, I thought was pretty good. I thought it was like it had some really dynamic shots. I don't think looking at it as from like a dramatic feel with colors and like using lighting and like that too much was kind of out of it. I say the only time they really kind of hit on that was like the penthouse scene and then the club with Fletcher scene. But other than that, it was just pretty average camera work. Other than like the actual like dynamic shots, like the camera. There's I can't even quote the director because I can't remember who said it, but they was like, you better have a reason to move the camera. And then I look at films like that, and this has always broke the norm, and they kind of did it with the last one, but they moved the camera. Like, I don't think the camera sat still in this movie, so that was just like how I looked at it. It was a different type of cinematography, but it was good. I enjoyed it. on that note, with like some films I have coming up, you've heard about Freelancer and what I want to do with that one when that comes. But that's how I want it to look. You know, I want it to look like that. So
Very dynamic.
I like,
Lots of camera
very
moves.
dynamic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the cinematography,
Kinetic.
but yeah, exactly. But as we wrap it up, we're not going to get to the movie pitches on this one, but on the next one, I think we're going to start. We're going to replace the fantasy flicks maybe, or combine it with the movie pitches, because the movie pitches are 2 minutes. Now, I will say, unless you all want to do them, we'll do them now. We'll save them for the intro of the next one. But I think we can pick a movie or what we want to talk about offline for the next.
No, I mean, yeah, I think we can save it for next time when we're pretty way over. but but we can find something to talk about between here and there pretty easily. And then we get your pitches after that.
So much coming out right now for the summer, even on streaming stuff. Dune, The Boys.
Yeah. Hey, House of Dragon.
Yeah, I just watched that.
Oh yeah, see that's another thing. Yeah, I didn't even. But see, I'll just say this: I think I stopped watching it when they switched the characters. I'm gonna be honest. I can't remember, but I'm very sure I stopped watching it. I don't know. I just fell off with it. So
you gotta get back into it.
Yeah, got to. All right, so that wraps up the Bad Boys breakdown, and we'll see you on the next one where we talk.
All right, guys.
I don't know.
Good night.
What you want?
Oh my God.
See you guys later.
See ya.